Welcome into another edition of Varsity Voice presented by SFBN here on a Tuesday night. I'm your host, Ari Bluestein, and last week we talked about PA and mostly Philly area football. Well, today we're going across the bridge to look at South Jersey. Coming up next on Varsity Voice presented by SFBN. Talking about one final thought. Let's get a big, bold prediction. Welcome back again to Varsity Voice presented by SFBN. I'm your host, Ari Bluestein, and we mentioned that we were going to go over the bridge to South Jersey, and none other than our man, Mark Trible, joining us here on Varsity Voice, one of the men who really did a great job last year when we were on Comcast. Mark, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks, Ari.
Well, I'd love to really talk to you about what's going on in South Jersey. So much good football goes on in South Jersey, and I really wanted to start here last week, a recap what happened last week. We had the Holy War. Two very good non-public schools, St. Joseph Hamilton and Holy Spirit. What happened in that game?
That's a game that St. Joe had marked on the calendar for an entire year after an overtime loss last year. They went down to Spirit. It didn't look great at first. They were losing. Scored 28 unanswered. It was really the defense that paved the way. St. Joe has some dynamic playmakers in the backfield. Jada Byers' kick return really set them off also. The Wildcats got their revenge, won 42-26, and really kind of supplanted their claim to being one of the best parochial schools in South Jersey.
Now, taking a look at these two teams in terms of the playoff picture, and for those of you joining us from PA, not familiar with the way Jersey works, you have the different groups in North, Central, and South, and then, of course, you have the non-public, which takes on the whole state. So where does Hamilton and Holy Spirit kind of fit in the non-public playoff picture?
Well, they're in the same group, and they're a non-public group, too, so that's the smallest schools. Last year, Spirit lost in the championship on a hook and ladder to Mater Dei, but I wouldn't be surprised to see two of them play again in the playoffs, and, I mean, it could potentially be in the championship. I know Mater Dei has a lot back. And certainly is a team to be reckoned with. But St. Joe's been there. They have a tradition of winning championships. Not that Spirit doesn't, but it's been a couple years since they've got one.
Yeah, I love that these two teams are maybe in the lower bracket in terms of the non-public. You don't want to be up in Group 4 where you have to play Paramus Catholic and Bergen Catholic and St. Peter's Prep. You don't want to be playing those teams. They are monsters. In fact, they're playing St. Joe's Prep and Archbishop Wood in PA early in the season. Great games, by the way. But, yeah, I think Hamilton and Holy Spirit will certainly be in the conversation. Then let's shift over to the public group, South Jersey public group. Two teams battled this past weekend that are always in the conversation. That's Cherokee and Timber Creek. I mean, you got to circle this matchup on your calendar every year.
Yeah, Cherokee's a team where I don't think a lot of people knew what to expect. They lost a lot. John Lovett, the running back, is now a Baylor with Matt Rule, obviously.
Right, yes.
Didn't really know what to expect the first week. They beat Shawnee, bitter rival, in overtime by a point. And Timber Creek opened their season in St. Louis with a win, beat Delsey by 3 in week 1. And then, you know, how would they react to playing a Cherokee team that really likes to line up and run the ball and have a little bit of tempo as well? Timber Creek responded. Cherokee kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit. 5 turnovers, 1 return for score, had a turnover on downs inside the 5. But Timber Creek took advantage. Jerome Gibson, the running back, really was spectacular for the Chargers and kept them level throughout.
Devin Leary's not still at Timber Creek.
Oh, he is?
Oh, he's still there.
Yeah.
So you have Gibson, the running back. I thought he already graduated. So you got Devin Leary, the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You got this kid Gibson as the running back. Is there anybody stopping Timber Creek this year?
It's tough to say, and I think their biggest challenge will probably come in the playoffs and the semifinals or in the finals. Until then, I don't think they will probably lose. They also have Kyle Dobbins, who was at St. Augustine last year, a Temple recruit who's now in. But outside of a few kids, Deion Jennings also on defense, going to Rutgers.
Okay.
outside of a few kids, they really had a lot to replace this year. So
right.
It's a lot of new faces, but if you have the quarterback and the running back, it's a good place to start.
Yeah, definitely a good place to start if you have Devin Leary, one of the best quarterbacks in South Jersey, maybe the best in all of that area. So, Timber Creek, they're for real. Cherokee, they're certainly being the conversation as well. But, all four teams that we mentioned with St. Joe Hamilton, Holy Spirit, Cherokee, Timber Creek, we talked about them all year last year. We know that they're going to be there. They have very good programs. Any surprises thus far this year that maybe we didn't expect to maybe be in this conversation?
Well, let's look at South Jersey Group 3, Ari, and you have Timber Creek as the clear favorite, but Delsea is in there as well. And not that Delsea's ever a surprise because they're always solid.
Yes.
But to score 36 points against Timber Creek, they were a field goal away from going to overtime and hit off the upright. Aiden Bourget has been fantastic for them. They're a team that kind of runs some triple option this year. So I like Delsea a lot. They're a team that result, only losing by 3 on the road to Timber Creek,
very impressive.
Opened eyes.
Yeah.
Also in that group, you have Woodrow Wilson, who has always had spectacular playmakers. Last year, they lacked a quarterback. This year, Nick Cargman's the quarterback. Kid's 6'4", has a lot of touch, has a lot of arm strength. He's got weapons in Hydeer Moore, Trayvon King, Jairo Ramos, a lot of weapons. They had a huge win against Highland in week 1, and last week their game was over by halftime. I mean, they're throwing the ball a lot.
Wow.
A lot of points, a lot of yards. So those two teams are teams to watch, and, I don't know how deep South Jersey Group 3 is overall, but those 3 teams right there are certainly some of the best in the whole region has to offer.
Yeah, certainly, and that's an impressive win by Wilson over Highland. Highland always a solid program. So very interesting. I mean, Delsea's a team that we talked about a lot last year. They're always in the conversation. They're not at Timber Creek's level, but for them to have that type of game against the Chargers, that's certainly pretty impressive. Well, Mark, I love getting into South Jersey. I haven't had a chance to really dive deep into South Jersey yet this year, but guess what? We're going to bring you back for a little bit more a little bit later, so stick around. But for now, we're going to take a time out, and when we come back, we'll have a very special feature on a very big football fundraising fund. That's coming up next here on Varsity Voice, presented by SFBN.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Welcome back to Varsity Voice, presented by SFBN here on Facebook Live. And, we love to break down, the football, and when we get into winter, we'll get into basketball season too. We love to break down those teams. But one thing Varsity Voice loves to do is to go, inside the stories. Take a look at some other stories off the field. So this is a great one that we have for you. This is a great fund that's been around for a decade and a half, called the Gregory Hennigar Memorial Fund, started by my good friend who I grew up with, Ryan Nace, who's now the head coach over at Cheltenham. Started as a bunch of friends honoring a friend who passed away, and it's turned into really something special, a charitable organization and a big-time event for high school football players. Here's more on the Gregory Hennigar Memorial Fund.
So back in 2003, right after Greg had passed, we were just a group of young guys who were kind of mourning the loss of our friend. And from the time we were in high school up until now, or then starting our college careers, Greg was always a leader of our group. He was the guy that had us over the night before Thanksgiving. He was the guy that got a hold of everybody in Christmas. So we knew that we wanted to stay together, and that without him, it was going to be tougher. So we were floating around a bunch of ideas, and one came up about, well, why don't we do a rough touch tournament in Greg's honor, and we can try and raise some money and donate that back to Judge and see if we can get a scholarship or something in his name. And that first year, we did it all in 6 weeks and kind of just threw it together, and it was a fun nightmare. But it came together, and then seeing it now 15 years later, it's pretty unbelievable to see that it's grown, how it's changed, and most importantly, that it's still here. So it's funny, we've actually moved it a couple times. So we started at Ramp Playground. For a couple years, we went down to the River Fields on State Road, then went back to the new ramp after the renovation project, which we were very fortunate to be a part of. And now this past year, having it here at Cheltenham, it's grown dramatically. We started, I think that first year as a rough touch tournament with 8 teams. We were able to kind of build it up to 16 teams, and then we saw that every year, unfortunately, as we were getting older and older, it was tougher for guys to get teams together, to play. People were having families and vacations, and about 4 years ago, we made the decision to change it from a late 20s, early 30s, 40s rough touch to a high school 7-on-7, and not only to try and get the numbers back up, but more importantly to provide an opportunity for kids to get together with their high school teammates during the summer and participate in a 7-on-7, so to become better football players and again to be around their teammates. So we've always been advocates of Catholic education. We obviously started donating to Father Judge. We've been fortunate enough to donate to a number of other Catholic schools, both high schools and grade schools, to help with a variety of different projects. And then most recently, we've been approached by a number of families who, through some tragedy or another, have lost loved ones and have been looking for assistance with continuing Catholic education. So we've been able to help provide funds for that as well. And then just continue to help families in need, as well as a number of national nonprofits like Homes for Heroes, the Travis Manion Foundation, Lawrence First and Goal, the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, as well as some local charities like the Sergeant Robert Wilson III Fund, the FOP Survivors Fund. We've been able to be supportive of a lot of those charities as well. Well, selfishly, I think a big part of the reason why football became such a big part of my life, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I wouldn't be the man, teacher, coach, father, husband that I am without the game of football. I think a big part of that passion comes directly from Greg. I was not a guy who played football his whole life. I never played before high school. Success on the football field did not come immediately for me, but my friendship with Greg did, and he was always that encouraging factor. And once success did come, probably because he was on my team, he was just that guy that wherever he went, people just naturally wanted to be around him, and he was the guy that could bring our team, that could bring communities, that could bring families together. So his innate ability to be able to do that is a big part of the reason why we want and hope that the fund and this organization can be able to do the same thing.
Well, I mean, it started with 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. All Greg's friends just got together. We didn't know anything. Nobody in the family was even really associated. I mean, I played actually the first year. My whole team from Lycoming came down. Friends from Widener, we came and played, and it's neat to see it grow from that infancy stage with a couple of kids and putting the game together. And now, 18 high schools and little league teams. It's just awesome. I was a homer a little bit. I went to Judge. We all went to Judge, but we kind of outgrew outgrew their facility. It's a beautiful facility. And when Nace offered, got us into Cheltenham, I mean, we were able to just do so much more, which, I mean, that's the whole idea of the tournament. You know, we're trying to get more people involved and kind of carry on Greg's name. He's really grown this thing and taken it by the horns. I mean, there's been people in and out, Derek Taylor and a few other people, but since Nace kind of wrapped his arms around this thing, he's really taken off. So you have his anniversary of his death, you know, and his birthday. It's all like kind of solemn. But when you come to the tournament, it's more of a celebration, you know. All my family comes, his friends, everybody shows up just to buy a T-shirt, watch a couple games, you know. It's really a celebration, and it's a great cause.
It was a really amazing thing. I mean, this was all his friends from school, guys he played with, guys he hung out with, and he just came together and decided to have a tribute for him, and, you know, have a tournament in his name, and we figured to make some money for charity and stuff like that. And it was like Derek Talley, Ryan Nace, all those guys from the neighborhood. Those two guys were his teammates from Judge. And, you know, they just loved him. And who didn't? I'm sorry, but who didn't love Greg? It's amazing. It really is. I mean, it started at the high school, at the Dust Bowl there in front of Judge. And in a couple of years, they were going to redo that. So we had to move it down to the river and just grew. It was more like league teams, like bar teams. It was all guys their age and stuff, and older guys. And it was pretty cool and having a good time. There was even a couple girls teams in it. And just kept growing and growing, and more people were coming to it, and it turned into like a big party celebration for Greg and in his name. And the thing is, we make a lot of money for this thing. We give a lot of money out to charities and the people and the neighborhoods, the recreation departments and stuff like that, the corner of the teams, the little guys and all that stuff. So it's awesome that it's his name and it's still carrying on like this. It just makes me so proud as his father. It really does. He would love this, especially when we went to this format here with the high schools. You know, it was before a bunch of guys having fun and knocking each other's heads around, but now it's for the kids. It's for the high school kids and middle school kids this year, which was great to see. And I was really happy to see that they're all coming back out again. It seems like, yeah, there's a lot of concussions and stuff like that, but football's a great game. Football brings people together, everybody. I mean, you know, not just people to play, people to watch it, people that are out there selling the T-shirts for us and stuff like that. The tournament's a great thing. Greg would have loved this so much. I mean, it's unbelievable the way they do these things. Ryan Nace and Herman Dirk, I can't give them enough credit for this. Them guys, they just pulled this thing together and they kept it going for 15 years. So it's just really amazing, man. We're going to keep it going as long as we can.
Welcome back again to Varsity Voice, and I hope you enjoyed that piece edited by John Sullivan. And I want to thank Ryan Nace, the head coach of Cheltenham football, also the athletic director, John Creighton, for arranging for everything, and of course, the Hennigar family. We wish you guys the best of luck with the fund, and they've got a golf outing coming up on October 15th. So it's pretty cool, right? When you see some people come together, you have a great football player passed away, untimely death, and they get together and they make something big out of this.
Yeah, anytime you can do something positive when something bad happens and turn that into something positive is really, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So again, a credit out to Ryan Nace and everybody involved with the fund and with the tournament, which of course now highlights the best high school football players in the Philadelphia area. All right, we've got you here, Mark. So you know we're talking South Jersey here. We talked about some of the top teams. I'm sure there's some big games coming up, and I've got a couple listed down here that I really am excited about. Let's start with St. Augustine and Mike Trout's Millville. I mean, I just love this matchup. These are two really good programs.
Yeah, they are. St. Augustine started the season. They lost to Malvern Prep, kind of took it on the chin. New coach and Pete Lancetta really coming together the last 2 weeks. A couple impressive victories, blowouts over Atlantic City and Williamstown. And now they see a Millville team they handled last year. It was 41-21, I believe. Millville went on to win Group 5 in South Jersey.
Right.
They were unbelievable and have pretty much everybody back. So, you know, it's a couple different faces when you look at St. Augustine off last year. The Millville kids remember the beatdown that they got. Yeah. So I think they'll be really ready to go. It should be a spectacular game.
What do you think? Are you going to make a prediction for this? Or are we saving that for the paper? What do you think?
I won't make a prediction, but I will say this. Right now we have Millville ranked number 2 in South Jersey overall.
Okay.
And St. Augustine's closer to 10, I think. So I think St. Augustine's shown that they could do some pretty powerful things.
Yeah.
But the jury's still out until we see them on Friday.
Okay, so Millville the favorite, but certainly St. Augustine can win this game.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they have the program. They've had a great program for a number of years, so certainly anybody's game there. Earlier we mentioned about Cherokee and Timber Creek, and I think you mentioned there about Shawnee, Cherokee's big rival, that they're so close to each other. Shawnee taking on a pretty good Washington Township team, a team that I think kind of came on the map maybe over the last year or maybe year and a half. I mean, this is a very intriguing matchup as well.
It is. And Township started 0-2. I think they have some talent there. They have a new coach in Lamont Robinson who played football at Oklahoma, a Salem guy. And, you know, I believe in kind of what he's selling. I think eventually Washington Township, they certainly have the population. They have the youth programs. I think that they'll turn themselves into something in Group 5. This is an interesting test because Tim Gushu, the coach of Shawnee, has been there for 40-some years.
Wow. Yes.
And Lamont Robinson, this is his third game as a head coach. So it's an intriguing matchup. In the last couple of years, Shawnee had the better team. 2 years ago, they lost. Last year, they won by, I think, 2 or 3 points.
Okay.
Usually a tight game when they play. I know the youth league games between Medford and Washington Township are always close. A lot of familiarity. So Shawnee usually brings out the best in Washington Township, and right now at 0-2, Washington Township kind of needs them to bring out the best in Washington.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, you got the new head coach, and Township has had a good year the last couple of years. They could definitely use a win, and what a win that would be for a first-year head coach to beat Tim Gushu, who is a legend in South Jersey.
Yeah, it's no easy task. Shawnee's a team that returned a lot. We talked about Millville. We look at a team like Lenape, Vineland. All these teams were junior heavy last year and very good. Shawnee was one of them. To lose to Cherokee the first night, it surprised a lot of people.
Right.
But last week they got things back on track with a blowout win. So, they're still trying to put it together and live up to preseason expectations as well.
It should be a lot of fun. Shawnee versus Washington Township. Very intriguing game. The master versus the novice, essentially, in that coaching duel. I like it. Those are some of the bigger schools, right? We always love to give the little schools some love, right? Group 1, it's just as fun. I know you're a big Salem guy. We talked a lot about them last year on Varsity Voice when we were on Comcast. They take on Pennsgrove here. Talk about this matchup.
Well, last year Salem had Jonathan Taylor,
yes,
who is now looks like he could be the Rookie of the Year in the Big Ten, running for Wisconsin.
Right.
But they had another running back in Zaire Jones. There's a lot different style, a little bit slighter, more fluid, I think. Had some, Jonathan Taylor was he was a big time.
He was a monster.
He was a big time player. So Zaire Jones had 1,000 yards in each of the last 2 seasons, 276 yards rushing last week with 4 touchdowns. Stellar player. Now, Pennsgrove, their coach John Emmel went to Salem, so you have that connection.
Okay.
And then you have Tyreek Brown, who's already scored 9 touchdowns this year. Didn't really even play in the second half last week. So they look like maybe they're the Salem of this year, and maybe they're the team that makes a run and gets to that championship game. It's always a dogfight when these two play. It should be again on Saturday.
I got some great matchups there. That's great stuff. St. Augustine, Millville, Shawnee, Washington Township, and Salem, Pennsgrove. Those are 3 great games. Make sure if you're over the bridge, even if you're not, if you're in Philly, maybe go over the bridge and check out those matchups. Mark Trible, thanks so much again for joining us here on Varsity Voice and breaking down South Jersey. I love it. Great job.
It's always a pleasure, Ari.
Thank you so much. And then, these are some great games in South Jersey, but can't forget about PA. Last night, we had our show In the Trenches with our host, Richie Bleiweiss, and our analysts, Mike Palmer and Corey Sharp. Did a great job of breaking down the state of PA. And a reminder that we've got our game of the week coming up on Friday night, Upper Perkiomen against Phoenixville, a great Pioneer Athletic Conference matchup. And in fact, it's going to be the first time SFBN is doing a Pioneer Athletic Conference game. So we're excited to expand out that way. So I'm sure that you can maybe check that out. Maybe check it out on your phone because you can watch it on Facebook Live while you're covering the other games. You can check it out on Facebook Live on our page. And then again, more programming reminders coming up on Thursday. We've got a soccer show now. In the Goal with host Steven Schreiber and analyst Jack Kapp and head coach of Archbishop Ryan Haney. That's coming up on Thursday night. So, Mark, again, great job. Good stuff from Mark Trible. I'm Ari Bluestein. Thank you for watching this episode of Varsity Voice presented by SFBN. Have a great night. what? Let's get a big, bold prediction